Maddie and I are 4 years apart. I wonder if you can guess who the older sister is. Because a lot of people tend to get it wrong. And to be quite honest, I do feel like we don't play the traditional older and younger sibling roles. Because Maddie is definitely the one that like takes care of the group when I feel like that's supposed to be the older one. I don't really know how that happened or like how that originated, but
Like, for instance, I just did Bella's hair before this.
I don't know how to do my own hair. I don't really know how to cook. I feel like you do other things too. Maddie was just like doing things at a younger age. Like she was doing her own laundry, she was getting dressed by herself. These are things that I did not want to do. At least I have a podcast.
Yeah, true. I need to get on that.
When we were younger, we definitely did have an older sister, younger sister dynamic. For instance, I think that like what was it? I had a part of the room that you weren't allowed to go to.
Yeah, okay, so basically we would like always film these like video star, like, you know, like the singing, the dancing, it's a whole thing we'll get into. But we had this like one part of the room where it was just like, I don't know, it was just like the little small part that was only big enough to fit a bed. And we had our brother's, like our little brother's bed over there. And whenever we'd like
Yeah, all
dance,
three of us shared a room growing up.
and Bella would make us like video ourselves like dancing and singing to this music. But I was never allowed to go in that part of the room, and only she was allowed to dance on that freaking bed. And it's just like, it's stuff like this, bro. But
why
like,
didn't you just
sibling.
get on the bed? I don't get it.
I don't know. I like wasn't allowed to.
Like, what would have happened?
You probably would have shoved me off. Madison!
Bro. I don't really remember that, but I do remember doing plays like all of the time. And I would just be whatever character I wanted to be. And then I'd be like, okay, Madison, you're the grandpa. You're the dog. You're
the dog, bro. I was always the damn dog.
The best thing is we would play this game called Band Hero with my cousins. And we had a guitar, drums, and a singer. And like
that's still like the best game ever.
It is the best game ever. But we would basically have those three roles, and it was for me and my two cousins, and we would lie to Madison and tell her that a dancer was the fourth role, and Madison would be like dancing to the music, and then at the end of it, when it wouldn't come up on the screen, she'd be like, what's my score? And we'd be like, oh, you missed it, like you were 8 stars. And she'd be like, what?
And they'd be like, no, there's sensors, it can see you, it's like Just Dance. And I'd be like, oh yeah, right.
We also had a bench, so we had like a kitchen table, regular kitchen table, and then we had 2 chairs and then a bench, and the bench was for Maddie and I. And I don't really remember how this happened, but I guess we were always like on top of each other, maybe fighting, pushing, whatever during dinner or whenever we were eating. So our mom had to take this piece of blue masking tape and put it equally across the bench. And I remember literally her measuring it with a tape measure so that we could each have the exact same amount of room on the bench. And I don't know, I remember being like poking Madison over the bench and like sliding my elbow over the tape just so that like I basically was originating rage baiting. And if you have a sibling, I'm sure you understand that rage baiting was around a long time before it became a thing. Like I was constantly rage baiting her by like literally being like, oh, and then I would like go over the tape and she would just be like, I didn't
touch her. And I'd be like, whoop, like pinky over it. Like, yeah, Bella, like, what are you talking about? I didn't do it. And then Bella would get me from like under the table where like the tape didn't exist anymore with her feet. And
I'd be like, the tape isn't down there. Like there's no tape. So why can't I? I would always challenge Madison to eating competitions. So like let's say we both got a really big cookie from like a bakery. We'd be in the back eating and I'd be like, I bet who I can like eat this faster than you, or like whoever eats this the fastest wins. And Madison would like gobble her cookie up and there would be none of it left. And then I'd like pull mine out from behind me. I'd pretend to have eaten it and I'd be like
every time. Like talk about unhealthy eating habits. Like literally. Every time. And then I'd sit there and be like actually every time, I don't know how many times this happened.
She fell for it every single time, by the way. I don't understand.
So fooled. But then like I would do it to Logan too once he was old enough, and like he would also fall for it.
I don't understand every single time. It's not like I presented it in different ways. It was always the exact same thing.
It was the eating contest and she'd pull it out and be like, damn it.
Every time. By the way, this is one thing I will never forgive Madison for. Before iCloud, we didn't have that. So I had my iPod Touch with like hundreds of video stars with all of our cousins and friends and us, and like they were all so amazing. I guess I should have backed them up. I didn't know how to do that.
Yeah.
I gave Madison, or my mom gave Madison.
No, I'm telling you though, like I don't know where this iPod was lost. It
got
was
run
lost.
over.
No, that was the iPod after.
Oh.
I went through like 4 iPods as a child, but this one I think it got lost when we moved. Like I don't think it made it out of 66. Like this phone like poof, disappeared because then all our belongings got moved into a car and a camper, so couldn't have gone far.
I'm just so mad because like I know there are some relics and gems there, and
watch us find it in the pod, bro.
Oh my god, that would be the best day of my entire life. We played with My Little Pony like maybe every single day.
Talk about beating the dead horse, bro. Every day we played with those things. We had like a collection of what, 200?
Oh, I think more than that. I literally think like at least 400. Like we had pretty much every single My Little Pony that they ever made.
In all the generations.
I was gonna say it spawned all the generations. If you didn't know,
there was what, 5 generations?
No, there was 4, but there was 2.5. So, yeah, now there's 5, though. So,
yeah, now there's 5.
Kind of crazy. We had every single generation.
All
Generation 2 was pretty hard to find.
We had the ones that you, like, brush their hair and it gets longer and you, like, do you remember that one?
And we had the mermaid ones, and we had when they turned into, like, actual people. So,
in case you didn't know that.
It was pretty crazy. And
we had the mini ones. We had the squishy ones. Yes. The squishums.
I forgot about that.
What were the ones that, like, had a suction cup at the bottom?
Oh, I don't even know, but I know what you're talking about.
They were like Squinkies, but not.
It was pretty insane. Too. Like, we had pretty much every single type they made. We had the ones that sang. We had the ones that cried. We had their cars and their houses and all of their things.
We had all the families.
It was pretty much my biggest collection, pride and joy. And then one day, a flood came and ruined our entire lives. This flood was dramatic, like worse than like the one from Noah's Ark. Like this flood killed our My Little Ponies.
Bro, it mogged Hurricane Katrina. Like you have never seen this flood.
And basically Madison and I both hold a piece of guilt that we will probably have for the rest of our lives. You know how like one small thing can change the trajectory of your entire life? I think Maddie and I both experienced this when we literally both were alerted to this flood in the middle of the night, and we chose to go back to bed. So for me, I'd woken up in the middle of the night on the night that the flood came. Why couldn't the flood have just come during the day, bro? Like, why did it have to be at night, all night? See, it must have started right when we went to bed. I
don't know, but like we went to bed.
I woke up in the middle of the night because I had taken my blanket and like adjusted myself, and the blanket was sopping wet. And then I just was like, weird, and went right back to bed.
And how old were you when that happened?
Like
6th grade?
No, I was like 10.
10. So we both lived, like, both of our rooms were in the basement, and that's where, like, the flood occurred, of course. But I remember waking up in the middle of the night and, like, talking about how we had all these My Little Ponies. They were set up, and we had this Ferris wheel that went around, and it, like, sang, like, the My Little Pony, My Little Pony. And it's My Little Pony. Anyway, it started going off in the middle of the night, and I was like, this is a weird hour for Bella to be playing My Little Pony. It's like, mind you, if you were 10, I was, 6? But I was like, all right. Okay, girl, you do you. And then I went back to sleep. Turns out it was, like, the batteries and the water, like, shocking it broken.
Oh. And, like, the really big issue is this flood water came out from the toilet. So everything it touched we had to throw away. And we had all of our My Little Ponies set up all over the floor because Maddie and I, like, kind of kept them set up in their families down in the basement so we could
Crush and Bella kept them set up in their families. I always wanted to play with them. And Bella would be like, we are playing. And then she'd, like, steal all my ponies to organize them into, like, Fluttershy, Rarity, and Applejack's families. So
and then I'd be like done playing. I'd be like, they're organized, we're good. And Maddie would be like, when are we gonna start playing? And I was like, oh, that was it.
And then Logan would be like, can we do Hesh trucks plus My Little Ponies?
Yeah, he wanted to like play, and we wanted to put them in the trucks and whatever. It honestly, like I did used to play when I was little, and then I hit middle school and that wasn't cool anymore. Although I did walk into middle school in 6th grade when I guess everybody got like a note sent home that middle schoolers don't dress up for Halloween at school. Must have missed that note because everybody came to school dressed in their normal clothes. Maybe they were wearing some orange, maybe some purple. I came in a full My Little Pony suit head to toe to middle school on Halloween, and I was definitely laughed at, made fun of, ridiculed, and that was kind of unfortunate. But yeah, we lost pretty much like probably 2/3 of our collection. So we do still have a big collection, but it just reminds me of the pain of all of those ponies that were thrown out and all of the other toys that were lost. It was pretty devastating. But one thing about My Little Ponies and how we kept accumulating a lot of them was that Maddie and I knew my mom's password to eBay. And I don't think I knew at the time that bidding on eBay was actually like real money. I mean, I must have, but I didn't really understand like the gravity of that. But I remember like logging onto eBay.
We got into like eBay bidding wars.
Yeah, like we were literally bidding, and I was like, Maddie, bid. Like we would be like, there's 3 minutes left. And it was kind of insane. And I don't really know, like, I don't remember mom ever being like, where did this purchase come from? Because like, I don't think we always won. But I'm not really sure what happened, but I
also,
do
like,
remember
she
bidding.
would get us some of them in the eBay bidding
Yeah,
wars,
because
too.
there was some that were like really special, and she would bid with them because we were kind of in a weird stage where like Generation 3 had just ended and Generation 4 was like coming up in the middle of our pony times. And so like the Generation 3 ones weren't necessarily being sold anymore in stores. It was really just like the Generation 4, which is the one that like everybody knows with like Rarity, Pinkie Pie, Rainbow Dash, you know, whatever. But Generation 3 was before that, and that was like more like 2000 to 2010, I would probably say. So they had some of them, but most of them were being sold on eBay. So we did like purchase a lot of those from there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like an eBay bidder at the ripe age of like 9. One thing about Maddie and I is that we are like very, very different. Like we're like polar opposites. And one of the really big things that happened when we were younger was Maddie's kind of like desire to have animals and my extreme fear of animals. And we got a dog when I was probably like, what, 6? And Maddie was like...
No shot. I was like 2.
Yeah, so that would make sense because we're 4 years
Uh-oh.
apart. Yeah. The dog came and I was like terrified of it. My parents made me go with my dad to Baltimore to pick up the dog. And I like literally was sitting like this far away from it. Like if the dog was over here, I was like all the way away the entire car ride. And she was like crying. She was so scared. She was in like a bin. Like we literally just put her in like a box. And she was like sobbing. And I could have like been holding the dog and like cuddling it, comforting it. But no, I just was like, Dad, the whole time. And then the dog gets home and I'm like this far away from it. Like I do not want to be anywhere near the dog. And Madison's like, she's like all over our puppy. And I remember just being so scared and Madison being so obsessed and like right on top of our dog at all times, constantly.
She was like a big dog. So like when I was like 2, like puppies obviously grow so fast that she was like double my size already in like a matter of months. So it was like really funny. But like that was like we would like ride her around and stuff.
She was really a horse.
That was awesome.
Compared to us.
Yeah.
Yeah. All Madison wanted her entire life was a
like
ferret.
literally my entire like from age like
literally from like the second she popped out of the womb. Like that's how long this obsession
the
with
second I
ferrets
was
lasted.
like old enough to say the word ferret, I wanted one, bro. Like literally, oh my god, so obsessed with them.
It was really strange. And like at first it was like, okay, like whatever, Maddie just really wants a ferret. But then it got down to the point where it was like, why doesn't Maddie have a ferret? Because she's constantly always talking about it. So then one Christmas.
Yep, it was the Christmas like right before we moved, and we had like opened all our presents, and she's like, I think Santa might have brought a couple more. And she like walks us into the other room, and there's like something for my brother, and then there's like this big giant ferret cage. And like something with ferrets is like they need a lot of space. Like this is no guinea pig. This cage is like almost like it's like 5.5 feet tall. And it's set up and in its box, and I start like jumping up and down. I'm screaming. I'm like, oh my God, I got ferrets, I got ferrets, I got ferrets, whatever. I'm so excited. And then my mom's like
screaming, guys, like absurd.
And then our mom goes, oh, well, like we just cut the cage.
Like,
what? Oh.
Our mom like bought the cage for Maddie, like being like, okay, you're gonna get ferrets. But Madison thought that there was like a ferret waiting for her under the tree. And she was like literally screaming top of her lungs. I've never seen a child this happy before. And literally like it was just the cage, which you would think would be cool if like it was like, oh yeah, we're gonna go to Petco next week and pick out a couple ferrets.
Guess you waited another, 5 years? 4 years? And we just had the damn ferret cage and no ferrets. And then one day I got them, and it was awesome, but in 5th grade did I get them?
Yeah,
6th
like
grade?
a while after.
I think maybe 6th grade.
And then she gave them away. Like, I don't really
So basically, I
understand.
had these ferrets for about 2 years. They were so cute. I love them. But at the end of the day, like, they're hard animals to keep, like, to take care of. And that cage was a big cage for me to, like, my mom would make me, like, boil water to, like, clean it off and sterilize it every week. And, like, I had to take it all outside of my room, this humongous cage, boil pots of water to pour on, like, the shelves.
Yeah, it does
And
sound like a lot.
it was so much work. And at the end of the day, I was, like, 10. And, like, the ferrets just were not getting, like...
The smell
Okay.
of this putrid room, you could not walk. First of all, my room was across the hall.
The thing is, the ferrets didn't smell. It was because I didn't clean up their shit.
What?
Like,
you were just sleeping in a room full of shit?
like, no, they just, like, weren't, like, litter box trained, so they would, like, poop.
It was so putrid that if you
Yeah.
walked into that room, you could last maybe 2 minutes. And the stench from the room, like, drifted into my room across the hallway. And finally, when I was able to move to a different part of the house, I, like, sprinted out of there and never went back to that side of the house literally ever again. Like, I would
Oh,
not
please.
choose to go down that hallway.
Oh, please. She is being dramatic. It was not that bad.
It was bad.
Anyway, I wound up rehoming my ferrets to a ferret lover 265 and go follow her on Instagram.
Does she still
And-
post them?
No, unfortunately, but hit her up anyway.
Do you know if they're alive?
Probably. They live like 10 years. Oh.
Oh, and
They're
that
getting
time
there.
might
But her entire life, this woman was like 30 and she lived alone and she converted her house into a giant ferret house. And she had like tubes on the side of her walls and like cat tracks, but it was all just for ferrets. Like she had like a room that was like a ball pit. Like the entire room was a ball pit. And so we gave my 2 ferrets to her, and she would, like, her Christmas cards every year, she'd send it to us. It would just be, like, her and her ferrets. So,
How many did she have?
like, she had, like, at least 5 when we gave her Mickey and Minnie.
Like,
Those are my
you know,
ferrets'
you'd
names.
think that, like, if somebody was waiting 5+ years for ferrets that she knew she was going to get eventually, that she would come up with, like, names for them. I remember, like, a day before she got the ferret, she still didn't know she was going to name them. She was like, Mickey and Minnie. Like, what do you mean you didn't have a name, like, picked out for years? Like, I don't understand that. Like, I would have thought she was like, I don't know.
Oh,
You just forgot about that part?
I guess so. I thought it would, like, maybe, like, boom, spark me when I saw them, but it didn't.
Speaking of animals dying, when Logan's hamster died, that was, like, the most scarring thing. We were, like, all in the living room, and Logan was like,
Wait,
Buddy's dead!
I have a funny story about this.
Oh my god.
So it was like a couple days later, and mind you, Logan was like 5. He had just lost his like first pet ever, and it was like he was so sad about it. He found
He
his
was
hamster
so
dead,
sad.
and it was like a couple of days later, and we got into a fight about something in the living room, and I still have a scar from it. He took the back of the Roku remote, like the battery part, and dragged it down my arm. And there's this, I don't know if you can see it, but when I'm pale, you can.
Oh my god, I see
Yeah,
that. Yes.
yeah. And
Were you like gushing blood?
like, yeah, it was bleeding a lot. And so I screamed at him. I was like, your hamsters. I was like, you killed your hamster. And he started like hysterically sobbing. And I was like, don't tell mom what I said. Don't.
That's the part. It's okay. It's okay.
I didn't mean it. Shut up, Logan, shut up.
Or I'd be like,
And
all
mom
the
came
time.
in and he was like about to say, I think that I said, I don't even know what happened after that, but our mom was not happy and Logan was like screaming, crying, and my arm was like gushing blood, and I was like, your hamster's dead.
I was like not involved in these fights. That is ridiculous.
And
Yeah,
mom
that
tried to say it was
sad.
hibernating,
Well,
which
no.
she said to me too.
So wait, this is actually a dual conversation because okay, so Madison got like a tadpole that was supposed to turn into a frog when we were younger. One of those ones that you could like see through it. I also had one. I don't really remember what happened to mine, but Madison was like obsessed with hers. Again, she
Once
really likes
again.
animals. And it obviously died. This thing is like floating upside down. And my mom didn't want to tell Madison because she didn't want her to be upset. So Madison kept being like, well, why isn't this thing moving? And my mom would just be like, oh, it's just hibernating, honey. It's just hibernating. And I'd be like, okay, mm-hmm. And then I'd be like, your tadpole's dead. And Madison would be like, no, it's not. It's hibernating.
Mine's
And I'd
like
be like,
ripe age of 5, bro. Like, I think that was like my graduating kindergarten gift.
it was not hibernating. But I don't know if we've had this discussion. I have seen all over my TikTok For You page
No, but yeah.
that hamsters hibernate. And I'm like scared. I think that by the way, Buddy, the hamster was only like 1 year old or maybe two, but I don't think he was even two. Like, I think he was only one.
He
And
was two. No, I think he was two.
I don't know. And I think hamsters hibernate, like it's a thing. And I'm like really scared the Buddy was just hibernating and then he like woke up and like was in like a trash can or something.
Everyone has a traumatic hamster story. Like, everyone you talk to has some form
This
of
one's
traumatic
like
hamster
this one's
story.
really not as tragic as it could have been.
Like, I feel like everyone's hamster got, like, stuck in the pipes, eten by, like,
Or
a
like their
dinosaur.
other hamster,
Yeah.
their other hamster ate it.
And then it, like, showed up in their car engine 5 weeks later. Like, I feel like everyone has these crazy
I always read
hamster
those
stories.
comments, but I'm like, I think like deep down that Buddy was just hibernating because he was not old enough to die.
Wait, or Logan just, like, didn't feed him.
Which is even more terrible.
I know, but Logan was, like, 5.
But also Mom said she like snuck in there all the time
Yeah.
to feed. So I don't know, guys. We don't know what happened to Buddy the hamster.
Yeah, R.I.P. Buddy the
But
hamster.
he is certainly not alive today, just like Madison's ferrets and the tadpole.
The ferrets might be alive.
You should text her. Probably the most pivotal part of Madison and I's childhood was living in a camper for a year and touring the country and being homeschooled, which literally is a teenager's nightmare. No, I don't remember, and I'm curious to hear what you have to say about this. I don't remember ever being told that we were going to move.
Nope. I literally have my exact memory of this, and I know I've said this before, but like one day I came home from school and there was a moving sign or like a sold sign outside our house, and I was like, why is there a your house is sold sign? Like, it, you know when they like slap it on, it's like sold.
Like, I feel like I knew maybe a bit before
I
that.
did not know before that. And I saw it, and Mom, like, walked me down to the end of the driveway, and I just remember, like, sobbing, and her being like, we're selling the house, we're moving. Like, that's when I knew. Like, once the house was sold and we were, like, packing our shit the next week.
I, like, didn't know. They did not tell me. And my parents say that this is, like, a different story. They're like, oh, we knew forever. We left July 19th. I ended 6th grade without knowing that I was never going to see my friends again. Like, I did not say goodbye, see you never to anybody that I was friends with that I, like, wouldn't see outside of school. Like, of course, I saw my friends between, like, the end of June and the end of July before I was going to move. But, like, my friends that I was on the bus with or friends that I was in classes with that I, like, didn't necessarily see outside of school literally never saw me again. And people are always like, you just disappeared. Yes, because I didn't even know we were leaving. And, like, we were never told you're going to live in a camper and travel across the country. Like, I don't feel like that was spoken to us until, like, literally maybe 2 weeks before we were about to leave.
When the camper was in the driveway.
Yeah, and we're, like, packing up our stuff, and we're like, we're going to move to the camper. But, like, I don't think we really understood that we were moving inside of a trailer that would be on wheels, traveling thousands and thousands of miles for an entire year, or what the implications of that would be. And I think that, like, I was very much, like, just a kid. I was, like, 11 years old, vibing 6th grade, and then suddenly it was like, no, like, here you go, isolation, goodbye. And I didn't really understand the gravity of that until we were, like, in the thick of it. Like, wouldn't you say the same?
Oh, 100%. I remember, like, a couple things. Like I said, like, the moving sign. Then I remember when we went to, like, pick up the camper and, like, buy which one we were gonna buy. But, like, it still felt like it was, like, going on a camping trip, not, like, living in a camper.
Like, it was exciting to, like, pick out a camper. But again, like, we didn't understand what that meant.
Yeah, and then, like, it pulled into our driveway. And then I remember when we, like, packed it up. And, like, Mom got out those blue bins.
Yeah, and, like,
we were,
that was
putting all
it.
our stuff into, like, these, like, little blue bins. And it would be, like, this...
Oh, we got rid of most of our belongings.
Yeah, like everything.
Madison, Logan, and I were in a room for an entire year that's about half the size of the room that we're sitting in right now, which is Maddie's bedroom, which is already, like, a small bedroom. Yeah, it was pretty wild. Do you feel like the camper, like, living in isolation and all of that, like, affected you developmentally, or, like, not really because you were so young?
I think, like, definitely. I do remember, like, during the trip as much, like, I remember... towards the end, just, like, sitting in our coffin-sized bunk beds. That's the other thing.
We couldn't sit up in our bunk beds.
That were, like, maybe, like, this is not an exaggeration.
Like,
and because we can look it up, 2 feet tall?
Yeah,
Two and a half?
You definitely could not sit up in it. So how big am I sitting up? You could not sit up, and I was shorter at the time, obviously. Yeah.
Like, you could get up, like,
you could only lay horizontally.
Yeah. And, like, so basically I'm sitting in, like, our coffin-sized bunk bed, and I just remember thinking, like, I need this to be over. Like, I'm so lonely. And that was in, like, 3rd grade. So, like, I feel like to, like, have those thoughts and, like, go through that as, like, a 3rd grader is, like, you know, kind of a lot.
I was in 7th grade, and every single therapist I've ever had says that every single one of my like social issues stems from that year, unfortunately. And just like the fact that I missed out on a very pivotal, and I talked about this in my podcast with Ellie a little bit, but like such a pivotal year. Seventh grade is like the year where everything happens developmentally. You go from being a kid to being like a young adult, a teenager. And I just like missed out on that year. So when I got to eighth grade back to public school, I like didn't understand a lot of the things that were supposed to be happening or things that were happening. I didn't really like understand them, and I did a lot of things wrong and made a lot of mistakes because I like didn't understand how things worked. And I like do think, and everyone's like, oh, it's just a year, it's just a year, people get homeschooled their whole lives. Yeah, but it was like the reintroduction after such a pivotal year where you learn about sex ed and you have your first boyfriend and your first kiss and all these things that I did not have. I think really like screwed me over a long time, as well as like just the period of isolation and the fact that like we literally did not talk to a single person besides these strange folks we'd find in the campground and ourselves for a year.
Yeah, like, mind you, it was, like, us, and then, like, when you did get, like, human contact, like, you're at a campground, so then it's, like, who are you finding at a campground? Like, the oddest individuals. Like,
because these people were all homeschooled, obviously, as well,
yeah.
considering that it was, like, the middle of the week
or
in, like,
it would
February.
just be, like, adults we were talking to, actually. Like, I remember one time we were in, I think, maybe Michigan, and we were just, like, walking around the campground, and we made friends with this, like, old man who, like, pulls up on, like, a motorcycle. He has, like, this white hair, and he gives us, like, a fly swatter. I don't really know. Peak friends at the time, but we got back, and my dad was like, yeah, no, you should not be talking to, like, random, scary stranger
But we didn't
men.
know that because it was, like, this is our only point of contact, and we went from, like, talking to everybody at school at the time to literally just talking to us,
You're on a
to
campground.
ourselves. One of the biggest things we did to, like, keep up with the times was we listened to Radio Disney, because you know what, this was before, I've said this before again, but this was before service was a thing. First of all, there was only service in like populated places. When you were like on the road, you were off the grid is what they called it at the time. Like there was no service. Second of all, when you had service, you couldn't even connect because unlimited data was not a thing. Unlimited data was only for people who were extremely wealthy. And I remember like I knew people that had unlimited data.
No, even back then though, unlimited data wasn't unlimited. Do you remember?
Yes,
like,
yeah.
That wasn't, like, unlimited data actually wasn't a thing yet. Like, you still had a certain amount.
And then you'd go over and it would just turn off.
You know, exactly.
And then the third thing was, like, yeah, like, and there wasn't even really, like, social media for our age group. Like, yeah, people were on Instagram, but it wasn't a way to, like, catch up. There was no TikTok. So even when we did have Wi-Fi, which was, like, once in a blue moon because campgrounds didn't have Wi-Fi, we were, like, at a Walmart and we connected to, like, Walmart Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
I would spend all of my time just, like, looking up facts about Zac Efron because like there wasn't anything to do on Instagram.
And I got my iPod ran over by a cart. So
yeah, and I got my phone stolen in and out. So we weren't on our phones ever. And I think like, so to make contact, we would listen to Radio Disney and we would call Radio Disney all the time because
it's like we had these 13-hour drives.
We were bored. We were so bored. Like literally, what are you gonna do besides schoolwork and like stare at each other? I don't understand what we did. Like I don't really remember anything from the trip besides like a few specific memories. But what I do really remember is one time we called Radio Disney and we were driving through Yellowstone and like the service was kind of spotty and you never got through to the radio. Like it would just ring and ring and ring and then would hang up. Like you never got through. One time they answered, but we weren't like prepared for an answer. They picked up.
I don't know. I was expecting like a how are you, but like mind you, like we said, like we would frequent these calls like every day. Like we weren't even listening to what like the prompt they were like getting calls in for.
Yeah, we were just like spamming their phone
just,
number.
like,
I'm surprised they didn't block us. We called like 20 times a day.
And I pick up and they're like, hi, like what's your name? I'm what, 8? Yeah, maybe. And I'm like, oh, like, Maddie, whatever. And they're like, what's the most inspirational thing you have ever heard in your life? What words do you live by? What? I'm like 8 years old. I'm not expecting this. I can like barely hear them because we're driving through a national park and it's like spotty service. And I'm like,
She's like, and I was sitting there like, bro, you're blowing this. Like,
our one shot.
It was our one shot to be on the radio, to make contact with the outside world that we were so, like, locked up from. And when I was like, Madison, and she's, like, literally blowing it, she's like, I don't know.
And then I go, They're like, come on, just give us anything. Come on, the first thing that pops to your mind. I'm in Yellowstone and I just saw a elk. And that's...
It upsets me to this day. Like,
and it got aired on the radio. So.
I am so upset by just the way. First of all, I wasn't even upset that she couldn't answer the question. I was just upset about the grammar. Like, it is, I just saw an elk. She was like, I just saw a elk.
And mind you, 8 years old, guys.
I was like, bro, like, cringe Olympics. No way you just saw a elk. It's an elk. I was so mad. Anyways, like, I wish that recording was somewhere. And then we listened to it live. It, like, played on the radio 5 minutes later. And we were like, are they going to play it? Are they going to play it? And it's like, this is Madison. I'm in Yellowstone. I just saw elk. And they're like, nice job, Madison.
Oh my god, can we talk about my chronic cough?
Tell them about your cough.
Okay, guys, so this all started when I went to go visit Bella in Salt Lake. So basically, well, like a couple of days before, I get this insane cough. But mind you, like, it was grind time during the semester, but, like, not for studying. Like, it was grind time for going out. So, like, I had gone out, I think, 10 days out of the last 2 weeks. So, like actually not exaggeration, because it was, like, Monday, Tuesday, like, it was actually, like, every single day that we went out. And then it was, like, sometimes you'd have to double up because, like, you're daging and then you're going out again at night. And so, like, I have this, like, cough, and I'm like, okay, well, it's frat flu. Maybe the 2 weeks of hangover is finally hitting you. Like, I don't know. And I go and I hop on a jet and I go to go visit Bella in Salt Lake. And, like, mind you, this cough is, like, overtaking my body. And I'm on the plane and I'm sitting next to this man who, mind you, I was sitting in the window seat. He's sitting in the middle seat. The aisle seat is open. So he could have moved over. I don't know why he didn't. He's a freaking freak. And I have this, like, horrible cough. He's wearing an N95 mask, which, like, okay, great. But I felt so awkward. And anytime I have this cough, I'm, like, going into my elbow, into the window, covering myself. So, like, I don't know. I'm, like, trying my best to, like, be quiet. I'm drinking water, like, to, like, keep the cough down. And anytime I cough, he, like, pulls his sweatshirt over his head. And he's, like, facing that. You could have moved over, first of all. So that was traumatic. And then I get off the plane, whatever. I'm just, like, oh, I'm not really feeling the best. But we go and get, like, Wendy's. And it's, like, haha, fun. And we go to sleep. And the next morning I wake up and I'm like, oh my god, I have never felt more sick in my entire life.
But she didn't tell me that. She told me that she was just, like, recovering from going out every single night and drinking every night. Like, she was like, oh yeah, my body's just in recovery mode, like, no worries.
Well, like, I kind of thought that's what I don't know, like, I don't know. I try not to be dramatic when I'm sick. And we're in Park City, and she's like, we're walking everywhere. She's having me go in all these stores. And we walk the strip of Park City, which, like, isn't that long, but it's a whole hill up. And we, like, go into this coffee store because she has to call her boss. And I fall asleep in the chair in the middle of the coffee shop. And we're just, like, I'm so exhausted. Like, mind you, my body felt like it was deteriorating. Like, I say this, it is the best way I could explain it. So then the next day, I don't get off the couch until 5 p.m. the next day. Like, actually 5 p.m.
I'm like, do you want to go do something? She's like, no.
It was to eat a grape is why I got up. Like, I think I consumed, like, a total of, like, 4 grapes that week. That's it. And so I don't get up till 5 p.m. The next day we go to urgent care. I have strep. Whoop-de-doo. And we pushed my flight back another day because I was like, I cannot fly in the state. I'd had, like, a 104 fever the whole weekend. It was, like, ridiculous.
Except by push her flight back a day, I thought that I just booked a flight for the next day. And I was like, okay, it's fine. Like, we'll just lose out on the money we paid for this flight, which was not very much. So we booked the flight for the next day. All is good. All is well. We're going to bed that night before the flight. And Maddie's like, I'm like, Maddie, check in already. She's like, I never got the email to check in. I'm like, what? She goes on, she realizes that the confirmation email is for, like, a month in advance. So then the night before the flight, I had to rebook it, and it cost $1 bajillion.
And that was great. But anyway, moral of the story, I've had this cough since. Like, literally since. Yeah. And I went to the doctors a couple weeks ago. They put me on steroids. It did nothing. So now I have a pulmonologist appointment, and I'm getting a chest x-ray. Anyway.
It's actually crazy. We had this rainbow loom business when we were on the road. And Maddie and I would set up shop at all of the campgrounds that we lived at. We used to go for like probably a week to every single campground.
It was 2 weeks max because then you could get like billed for squatting. So 2 weeks max, and then we'd go away for like 2 days and then like set the shop back up.
Yes, and we would just sell our Rainbow Loom creations. And there was something that we said that we did to possibly persuade somebody to buy from us.
So, but I do feel like, okay, so in hindsight, like anything we used to do with like the cousins or any of us, we would say we were donating it to MS because both our aunts have MS. So it's like I think like a lot of times we did actually wind up donating stuff.
I do really think we did.
But we also did cut a portion for ourselves, but it was like low-key to buy more rubber bands.
Yeah, I feel like we did wind up donating to MS, like most of it. I don't know. I remember we definitely did donate one time because mom matched it.
Yeah.
But I definitely do think we kept a lot for ourselves.
Yeah. Like we'd spend our whole like 10-hour drive making these Rainbow Loom bracelets, and then we'd like set up camp literally and have our table out and just like sit there with a sign that says like proceeds go to MS. And but mind you, we'd like sell these for what, $1?
Yeah.
25 cents? Like
we were not like making a big profit margin on it.
But it was such a big deal when mom would like get us new rubber bands.
Oh my God. When we would like go to Michael's and we could like look down and be like, I want the pack that has like the rainbow rubber bands, or I want the glow in the dark ones.
The glow in the dark rubber bands. They'd always
or the beaded ones.
Snap.
Yes, they would snap though, those ones.
Every time.
They were like the puffy ones.
Yeah. In the camper, it was only when we had like an electrical or satellites hookup that you could
I forgot about this.
We would watch a movie like once, like biannually.
I forgot about this. We'd like get to a new campground and be like, do they have satellite? Do they have electric?
And then it would be like I Love Lucy that pops up on the TV. Like genuinely.
It was, we had like a Full House kit and we had like a Little House on the Prairie DVD set, but that was pretty much it.
Little House on the Prairie.
And then we would go to Walmart and pick out like weird movies from their $5 DVD bin that would go into our camper, but like there weren't normal movies. There was just like movies that never sold actual copies. So they were like in this $5 DVD bin.
But what do you know about We Bought a Zoo? We had a disc of that and that was the best movie ever.
We had some really good ones in hindsight that were actually fire movies, but ones that like other people didn't watch, like The Last Mimsy.
The Last Mimsy. Oh my God. So The Last Mimsy we actually won at an auction when we still lived in New York. It was for like the Northport Theater. And I remember we like won the auction and it was a basket with Mimsy the bunny and then the movie. And if you've ever watched The Last Mimsy, that movie is kind of really terrifying. I don't really understand the plot.
Really weird. I don't know what it's about. No clue.
Neither.
It was like I could never get through it. I always got car sick during that movie, so watching that movie makes me car sick. Or makes me like nauseous. But one memory I really do have from the camper was my mom used to go to these yoga trainings to like get her license to be a teacher. And so she would leave for like a weekend. And my dad would be in charge of us. And anybody who has a mom and a dad knows that the moms are responsible. They're in command. The dads are like free for all. Let's hang out. Let's chill. So my mom would also take the only car that we possessed. We all, had one car. We drove the camper in it. We would unhook and she would take the car to her yoga training. So we'd be kind of stranded at the campground. And one time I remember we were like pretty hungry and, we were definitely skinny legends on this trip. We didn't really eat that much, but we were definitely pretty hungry. And my dad was like, let me make you guys something. And he opened up the cupboard and he opened up the fridge and he opened up this and that. And the only thing that was really edible in the camper at the time was marmalade.
Marmalade jam. And, don't give marmalade jam to children who are, starving. And nobody wants to eat that. But...
And it was, you could put it on this bread that low-key might have had a little bit of a moldy piece. Then we, cut off. It wasn't gourmet marmalade that you might find at a restaurant. It was just marmalade jam. And so we were like, Dad, we don't want to eat that. We did happen to be staying at this campground that had a restaurant on it, but, we couldn't afford to always be going to this Mexican restaurant, although it was really, really dang good.
It was so good.
We went there pretty often, but my dad was like, you know what, let's do something new. Let's not go to this restaurant. Let's, walk somewhere. So, pull out the old trusty Apple Maps. I'm searching. I see this gourmet cookie store, and it says it's only, a couple miles away. So I'm like, oh, my God, Dad, let's go. Oh, you know what it said? I think it said it was, I think I pulled up driving directions. And so the time to get there was pretty, maybe it was said 20 minutes or something or 10 minutes, but wasn't on walking directions. I was on driving directions. So I said to my dad, oh, it shouldn't be that long. My dad was just kind of in it for the game. He was not double checking. He was letting me direct. So Me, my 8-year-old sister, my 5-year-old brother, and my dad, we get our sneakers on and we start walking to this cookie store. And we're walking and we're walking and we're thinking about the cookies. It's a hot day. You know, we left probably around like noon, maybe. A couple hours later, we're still trekking. And
This is like down a highway, down a
we go
main
to the
road.
highway. Then there was this bombastic hill.
Like, it has like the 15% grade, like trucks don't drive down it, all this like semis turn off here, and we're walking up it. Like
we are we're trekking up this hill. Like, we were on a mission. And at this point, like, I'm sure realized that we were pretty far from it, but it was, now that we were like halfway there, we had to keep going. Like, we're not going to turn around without any food. So we're just walking with a dream of this cookie store. I remember Madison like had to go to the bathroom. We had to like knock on this like weird place, use their bathroom.
Oh, I forgot about that. It was like a rundown saloon, bro.
And it was like their last day ever
being opening. And Dad was like, oh, and they're like, are you buying something?
They were like, no, what they said is they were like, my dad was like, can we use the bathroom? Like, we're not actually stopping in. We actually have a place to be, because this cookie store was now going to close like at a certain time because we were taking so damn long to get there. It was like, at this point, probably like 2:00, and it was closing at like 3:30 or 4. My dad was like, we need to get going. And so he was like, oh, we can't stay. Unfortunately, we have somewhere to be, but you know, we'll come back next time. Like, we'll come back soon. And they're like, well, actually, this is our last day being open. And Madison and I were like, well, what? But they were like, I guess you can use the bathroom. Yeah. So Maddie used the bathroom there. And we finally make it to this cookie store like 20 minutes before they were about to close.
Right? Yeah. So we're like side of the road, Sacramento, rundown saloon on the highway.
And it took us hours. Like, I want to say like 5 to 6 hours. At least that's what it felt like. I think it was like it was at least 4 hours to get to this cookie store. It felt like 10. I don't really know how long it was, but we get to the store. It's about to close. We like buy as many cookies as we can. Honestly, I think we like...
I don't even remember the damn cookies.
I don't remember the cookies. Yeah, so we like buy all these cookies, and then we find out that it's right next to this burger store. And it took us so long. We left like in the mid-morning that my mom was on her way back from this yoga training already. Like, she was already done for the day at this like 5-hour training. So it definitely took us like a big chunk of time. So she's driving back, and we're like, Mom, there's a burger store, which we didn't even know. There's a crazy burger store right next to the cookie store. Meet us here. So she literally peaked like flow state. We get these cookies. They close. We explain to them how far we traveled. We sit down at this burger store. We're shoving burgers in our mouth. My mom gets there right as the burgers come out. She's eating burgers, and we get in the car and we drive back to the campground, literal peak. And my mom like timed it. She was like, she kept being like, oh my God. Like, she could not believe on the drive back how far we had walked. Like, she just kept being like, oh, you walked up this hill? And we'd be like, yeah. It was insane. I don't think I've ever walked that far that long.
it was like only when we were going back down that we saw the signs that was like 15% grade.
Yes, on the way up, we were just chugging along.
It was just like all the warnings, like not for these cars to go down the hill because it was like that steep. Like, they couldn't make it down. And, like, I don't think our camper could have made it down the hill we walked up, like, but realistically.
At the end of the day, kudos to our 5-year-old brother that did that walk. Yeah, because that's crazy.
Actually, he got put up to a lot of shit when he was little.
Speaking of a grade percentage on a hill, do you remember when
Please be the 14-mile hole in Yellowstone?
No, that's not what I was going to say, but I do remember that.
That was the most treacherous hike I've ever been on in my entire life.
So it's called the 7-mile hole.
Oh.
And my mom thought that just meant it was like a 7-mile hike. And I guess we didn't really do our research, but it turns out it was 7 miles down into a literal hole and then 7 miles up. The 7 miles down
canyon
was
in Yellowstone.
So deep. We were slipping and sliding
you had to
and
slide
falling.
On your butt down most of it.
And we're like crying, and like we finally make it to the bottom. We're like, phew. Yep, 7 miles back up. It took us so long to get down that the sun had set. So we were down there and we had like slid down the whole thing. We're crying. Everyone's a mess. Everyone's upset. We still have to make it 7 miles back up. And we're in the middle of, Yellowstone. Like, there is seriously zero service.
Zero service.
We didn't even probably have our phones with us.
Are there grizzlies in Yellowstone?
Yes.
Definitely.
And the whole thing was that my brother couldn't stop crying because he
was 5 years old.
5 years old, and he could physically not make it back up. So on the way back, he's sobbing, and my mom's like, "Shh, Logan, stop," because she thought the grizzly bears and whatever scary animal, mountain lions, whatever that was out there was gonna hear him crying and think that was prey.
Yeah.
And also, so we were really terrified and tired.
This is clearly not a touristy hike. It was a really difficult hike. So there was no one else on the trail.
Oh, nobody.
I feel like in like parks like Glacier, Yellowstone, like there's touristy like places, there's a ton of people there. But like if you go like off like the road at all, like I mean it was an actual hike, but it was isolated. Like no one was there. It was us, this family of 5, down this literal like deep canyon, and yeah, and we were alone in the wilderness, and my dad's like screaming at us. He's like, "Man up!" My brother's like 5.
Man up.
Man up.
It was insane. And we like could not make it up because again, it's so slippery. So we're like climbing. It's
and
not
like
just
the
a
rocks
walk
are like
back up.
slipping under you.
It
You're
was like life or death.
grabbing at roots.
We had a few life or death moments. So what I was gonna say with the percentage of the hill was on Halloween, we were driving down this really big high
Yeah,
percentage.
speaking of the camper can't make it down. Oh my god, this was so heartbreaking.
We were so excited for this campground. My mom booked like a really fancy campground for Halloween that year, and they had like trick-or-treating and haunted houses and horses you can ride and all these kid activities. And again, we really looked forward to these like kid activities because they were the only time we could make like connection with people our own age and that were not each other. And so we were like really looking forward to it. We'd been talking about it for weeks. We could not wait. And we're on our way down this big mountain to take us to this campground, which is at the bottom. And the camper brakes stop working. And suddenly the camper slowly is coming closer and closer and closer to our car as it goes down this big hill. And my dad's like, the brakes are not working. Like the camper's going to crush this car if it keeps driving. Super chill. He says that, by the way. You guys need to stop, drop, and roll. Get out of this car immediately and go on the side of a 7-lane highway in California. And we're on, literally, he stops, but he can't fully stop or else the camper would smash into the car. So he gets into the utmost right lane, slowly inching forward. He's like, now! We open the doors. We stop, drop, and roll. We are now standing on the side of this ginormous highway as my dad like plummets basically to what he thought was his death with him and our dog in the car. And us 4 on the side of the highway like crying. We call the cops. They escort us to the campground. We finally get down there and my dad's like, I can't make it down there. Like there
But mind you, once we make it down, we're in a cop car. And we pull up to, like, the attendance box or whatever at the start, and they're like, oh, how big is your camper? And we're like, what, 37 feet, I think? He was, like, the last camper to, like, come down that hill. He was, like, laughing. He was like, haha, the last time I saw a camper that size come down, its whole side was taken off.
And, like, remember, this camper is our house. Like, everything we own that's not in storage, and we only had 1 box of storage, like a big pod box. So there wasn't, like, that much. Our essentials were all in this camper. So we were like, oh my gosh, like we cannot come down this hill. Like we cannot risk it. So suddenly we canceled our reservations at this campground. The policeman, who was angered considering it was Halloween and I guess like he didn't want to be carting us around, had to bring us all the way back to the top of the hill where we reunited with my dad, and we did not go down any more hills that night, and we found our way to a different campground which had none of the fun Halloween benefits, and it was depressing.
Yeah, like really depressing. Like the end of the slides were like closed off by trash cans. Do you remember that?
Yes, and I was going to do my big one with my crayon costume, and I didn't really get to.
Your crayon costume?
Wasn't I a crayon?
Crayon?
Sorry.
Crayon?
What did you call it?
The crayon? You just said crayon.
Crayon.
Crayon. Crayon.
Crayon?
Like crayon? Not crayon. Alright, anyway.
A crayon. What do you guys say? Crayon? Or what do you say, Maddie?
I don't know now. Stop it.
Okay. Well, after our treacherous road trip, life or death situations, we found our way in the amazing and really fun state of Montana. And we shortly got ourselves into a house. We, became acclimated with public school again. And we decided to adopt the Montana lifestyle. Maddie was friends with a ton of Mormons. We bought a ton of chickens who all tragically died. And life was pretty crazy. And then when I moved back to the East Coast to go to college, my family followed me, and Madison and the rest of the fam moved to Connecticut, which according to a paper Madison wrote when she was in first grade, it was her dream to move there.
Oh, God. Connecticut's wonderful, but it is very different than Montana, and it's slightly different than New York. And I would say it was really a struggle having to be moved my freshman year of high school.
Just after finally getting settled in
Right.
her new state. Thanks for coming on here.
It was so fun. We have to do like a part 2.
I'm sure we'll do it again. I'm sure
Yeah.
we will. And like we have a lot more lore. If you guys are interested in the camper lore, I'm sure there's more.
More college lore. We can sit and compare notes.
Yeah.
Guy stories, frat stories.
If you thought that was funny, comment down below. We'll bring her back for round 2. But thanks so much for joining. I hope you guys had a good belly laugh, and I'll see you next Wednesday. Bye.
Bye.